Hi there, it's Jacob Topley here, also known as Toppers1020 for ultimatepokercoaching.com. And this is just a video showing a couple of example hands or concepts that I recently discussed with a student in one of our sessions. Hopefully it'll provide some insight into what it's like working with me as your coach and give you an understanding of some of the areas I can help you in to improve your game.
So this hand then, this is quite an interesting hand to go over. And again, I'm going to try and get your thoughts on how we should go about playing it. So we're down at 5-0 now. And we raise. And then the button decides to min-raise. And so the blinds fold. What's our plan here?
Here.
Yeah.
To call the 3-bet.
So cool. And again, another good flop. Top pair, backdoor flush draw. We check, and then our opponent checks. So, what do we think our opponent's range looks like when he checks this flop?
His range, let me see. Well, I feel like he probably have like maybe ace king.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, a good way of thinking about hand.
Or probably ace jack as well.
Yeah, ace jack makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, probably not have like a lot of aces in his hand.
Yeah, so ace jack, ace king, ace 10 suited, right? They make sense. Ace 10 and ace king might still bet though. So it's probably leaning more towards some kind of showdown value. So pocket nines, ace jack, king jack, pocket tens. Those kind of hands are what we'd expect to see. Would you agree with that? Is there any more you'd want to add in there?
No, that's about it.
Yeah, because we think on this board that's quite wet, he'd probably bet with a queen. He'd almost definitely bet with queen jack with a two pair or a set. And even though we have the ace of hearts in our hand, if he has any other flush draw, he's probably going to bet with those as well. So king queen or king 10 of hearts. Don't think he's got those because he'd probably bet with them. He probably doesn't have an open ender like king 10 either, or 9-10, because he'd bet with those as well. So the deuce of clubs comes on the turn, and that doesn't really change anything. So what do we want to do now?
You want to bet?
Yeah, I agree. Why do we want to bet though?
Well, on the turn, it really doesn't change anything, and on the flop, I think we're ahead of him.
All the hands of the value that he's checked back on the flop, he's going to call with on the turn, right? And when choosing a sizing, we have to think about what our opponent thinks that we could have. And so take a look at the board and tell me, how wet is it? How many draw combinations are there?
Well, you got the flush draw. There's a straight draw as well.
Yeah, there's quite a lot if you think about how it's a 3-bet pot. So we're going to have king 10. We're going to have probably king 9 suited as well because he 3-bet really small. We'll have 9-10, 8-10 as well sometimes. All of those flush draws, like you say. So from our opponent's perspective then, we're going to have a lot of bluffs on this board. And so when we put ourselves into our opponent's shoes and think, well, if our thinking's right and he does have some kind of medium strength value that's not got a queen in it, something like ace jack, king jack, pocket nines, pocket tens, he's almost definitely going to call on the turn, right?
Yeah.
And so we don't have to go small with the value, I don't think. So I think what size would you say is appropriate?
Like 70%.
Yeah, I think so. I think we can go for that sizing, and I think I chose a bit of an inoptimal sizing here. And then this is a good thing about going back and looking at your hands, right? I think we want to be betting closer to 45 here. Just because of what our opponent thinks that we could have. There's a lot of draws possible. And then our opponent calls, and a really nice river card gives us effectively the nuts, right? Because we don't think he's checking the flop with queen jack.
Yeah.
Don't think he's checking the flop with any kind of set. The flush draw misses, the straight draws miss, and so What sizing do you think we can bet on the river?
On the river, probably like a 60%.
I think closer to 70% is probably better, and we just go ahead and bet $1, which is about 70%. Because, like I say, if we think about what he's got, he's probably folding pocket nines at this point. He'll fold it. He'll fold any of his other air, right? So, ace king, ace 10, that decided not to bet and decided to call the turn. But then he's just probably going to call us with pocket tens, pocket jacks. They're just going to go ahead and call a lot of the time. And that's why we can go on the bigger size, because we kind of, when we've got to the situation where we realise what our opponent's got, we can bet a size that's kind of targeting that, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, he just goes ahead and calls with king jack off. So pretty happy there. Didn't try and go small and try and get into call with ace high. I've spoken to you about like the EV of our bet sizings before, haven't I?
Yeah.
And how generally going bigger is generally better with our value hands. Next hand is important because it's what's called a sizing tell. So if we look here, we have aces and we make it 5 big blinds, which is just too many. So if you notice, we open to 2.5x, 2.5 big blinds with all of our other hands. And when we open with 5 big blinds under the gun, all these players here are thinking, oh, this guy, he has aces, he has kings, he has ace king. And so these players will fold a lot. And so we lose some value with aces.
Okay. Yeah.
We want to be consistent. We want to always raise to 2.5. And that way it makes it harder for our opponents to know what we have.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you've got any more questions or queries, you can always contact me through the contact page at Ultimate Poker Coaching. I look forward to working with you and helping you in the best way that I can.